Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel in Economist. So this is going to be our class 2 in Python tutorial, and today we will learn a couple of things. We'll start with Python data types. Particularly, we will cover the string data type and the numeric data type in this particular video. So let us start. Firstly, let us rename our Jupyter notebook. Let me call it Python class 2. So I have made a video on Python class 1. If you haven't seen that video, please check that out and then join me with class 2, right? So let us start. Today we will start with Python data types. Let us run. Okay. So what are the data types? In Python, in any programming for that matter, data type is a very important concept. Variables that we have talked about in the previous class, those variables can store data in different data types, depending on the type of value that we are assigning to it, right? So Python, in case of Python, let me write a comment. In Python, the following data types are mostly used and they are built in, they are built in by default. So today we'll learn about some of the data types that are mostly used in Python and that are built-in data types. So they are already there in Python, they are already installed in Python. We are just using it for our purpose. So the first data type, let me call it data type 1, is Python, or let me call it numeric data type, right? Firstly, we will learn about, okay, let me mark down it. So the first data type that we will talk about is the numeric data type. Now in numeric data type, there are three sorts of data types. There are three sorts of, there are three numeric data types. If you have seen my previous video, I have mentioned them in that video as well. So the first data type that we talk about is the integer type of data, which we call it as int. Then we have float data. And the third type of data is the complex data. These are the three data types that we will learn. So start with what is integer. Int data type. First is the integer data type, or what we call in Python as int. Int is the first numeric data type. So what is int? Int, or simply integer. Int or simply integer is a whole number, positive or negative. So this number can be either positive or it can be negative, but without any decimals. This is a whole number, means it does not have any decimal numbers included, without decimals, or unlimited length. So this is what is an integer type of data. So in integer, what happens is that it's a whole number. It can be either positive or it can be negative, but it cannot contain any decimal number, and there could be unlimited length. So for example, what you can say, suppose I define a variable, suppose x. X is our first variable and I call it, say, 5. I assign the value 5 to this particular variable x. So if you print, the type of this variable, x. So it will give you the class of integer. So x, so 5 is what? 5 is a whole number. As you all know, it's a positive whole number and it does not have any decimals. Decimal means if I write 5.0123, suppose something, some value after the point, then it would have decimal numbers. But here I have only the integer value 5. So it's a integer type of data. Now you could consider other examples. Suppose y is another variable where I write minus 3570 something something something. Some random values I am writing. So it is a negative whole number without any decimal with unlimited length, right? Now if you run this and write print the type of this variable y, so it will also give you the class of integer, right? So x and y both are integer data type. Why this is so? Because they are whole number. Not only that, they can take positive or negative values, but without any decimals. But if you write z, suppose I call it 5.9037, and then you print the type. Now this will not be an integer, so it will be a float that I'll come in a while. I hope this is absolutely clear what is the integer type of data. Now let us go into the float data. The second data type is float. What is a float data type? Let me write a comment that float, or what we call as floating point number. Floating point number is a number. Again, it can take positive or negative values. Positive or negative values containing one or more decimals. This is a simple distinction. And now you could define multiple variables and check. This could be 1.60. Suppose I define another variable n, which is minus 67.67 something something. And suppose I define r is another variable, which is say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it could be again of unlimited length. There is no restriction on length. Now, if you print the type of m, n, r, so let's see what you get. Okay, let me do it this way. Okay, so see, these two are float, but this is integer. Okay, I have to put decimal numbers. So if you put decimal numbers, then it will be float, right? I hope this is absolutely clear. This is simple. These are the first two data types. And now you have another data type, which is called the complex data type, complex numeric data type, complex. Let me call it complex. Complex numbers. What is complex data type? Complex numbers are written with an imaginary part, with an imaginary part, which is denoted as J, which is denoted as G. Now, how do you write complex numbers in Python? Suppose I define a variable a and I assign the value 3 plus 5 and then j. I write simply j. So this will give you a complex number. The first portion is integer, but the second portion has an imaginary number, which is j basically, 5j. So that will give rise to this complex numeric data type. So print type of the variable A. So this will give you class of complex. I hope this is clear. Again, it can take positive or negative values. So suppose I call only 5J, print the type of B. This is also a valid complex number, and also you can write minus 5J. Minus 5J, and if you print the type, so this will give you valid complex class. So these are the three basic data types, three basic numeric data types. So this is the first kind of data type, which is numeric in nature. So we have integer data type, float data type, and complex data type. And these are the examples and their definitions. I hope they are clear. Now what you can do, this is something which I have covered in the previous class. But just to make things clear, let me do it again. Type conversion. You can convert the types of the data even after defining it. So how do you do it? You can convert, let me write, you can convert from one data type to another using. So you have to use something what we call as methods, some methods. What are the methods? Int method. This is the first method. Method means write the name and then, open and close parentheses. Basically, this is one method, int method. And then you have float method. And then you have complex method. Complex method. Right? So these are the three methods that you have to use for converting one data type, one numeric data type into another numeric data type, which we also know, which we also call as casting. So let us do that. Firstly, let us define some variables. Suppose I say x1 is the first variable. I call it 1. x2 is the second variable. I call it, say, 3.0. And z, no, x3. Suppose let us call it x3. X3 is another variable. Let us call it 5G or 7G. Suppose these are the three variables that you have, and these are the assigned values. So x1 is actually, it's an integer variable. X2 is actually a float variable, and x3 is actually a complex variable or complex numeric data type, whatever you call it. So let me give a comment here. This is originally int. This is originally float. And this is originally complex. This we know. Now what you can do, you can convert from int to float. This could be the first conversion. How do you do it? Let's see. For that, simply write, let us call another variable A. That will be simply write the final variable that you want, right? You want to convert from int to float, so write the final variable here, float. Float, and then write x1 here. And then print A, and also print the type of A. So let's see what happens. Yeah. So originally, see, x1 is 1. x1 is an integer variable. Originally, it was integer, but I have typecasted it. It is called casting. I have forcefully casted this variable into a float variable. And now, after converting it, it will become 1.0. So decimal number comes, integer is converted into float, and it will be a float class now. The class will be, or the type will be, float. In the similar fashion, what you can do, you can convert from float to integer. This could be one conversion. I want you to do this as your homework. Also, you can convert from integer to complex. and you can give the answers in the comment section, right? I have done this for you. I have converted integer to float. So give me the comments that you will use for x2 and x3. So for x2, what you have to do, this is originally in float. So convert it into integer. This is the value 3 that has been assigned. So you have to convert it into integer. And this is the third variable, which is in complex originally. So what you have to do, okay, so let us change it to complex to simple. Complex to integer, basically. So convert this particular thing into integer and tell me what you get as the answer, and also write the comments in the comment section. Also write the code basically in the comment section, right? So this is done. These are the three things. Now, another thing that I want to share with you will be something called a random number. How to generate a random number. How to generate a random number in Python. Suppose you are given a range of numbers, and from that range you have to pick one number at random. So how do you do that? So Python does not have any random function. There is no function called random in Python. So what you have to do, you have to use Python built-in module. Let me write it down. Python has a built-in module called random. Python has a module called random that can be used to generate a random number. So how do you do it? Let us see. It's very simple. Suppose you want to generate a random number in the range 1 to 10. Suppose you have the range of values 1 to 10 and you want to randomly pick one number using this code. How do you do it? So for that, you have to import the random module first. How do you do it? Import random. Import is another Python keyword. While, importing the modules, you use this import word here. Import random and then simply write print random, then dot, and then you have to mention the range. How do you mention the range? For that, you have to use this and then mention the range 1 to 10. So what I have done, firstly, import the module here to generate the random number. You have to use the random module. And after importing it, you have to print this statement random dot. From random, we are using this range keyword and then mentioning the specific range. Suppose you want to do it for 1 to 100, then mention 1 to 100 here. So every time you run this code, you will get a different number. You get a random number basically. One single random number will be generated using this code. So let us run this. So once you run this, see, this 19 is in this range basically. In this range, 19 is a random number. Now again, if you run the code, you will get a different number. So it will be 46 now. So you can do it multiple times for generating a single number. For generating a single number, if you continue to do this, you will get different numbers, different random numbers. These numbers are randomly generated from this particular range 1 to 100. Now you can reduce it to 10, then you will get a single digit number. Again, if you run this code, you will get another digit. Here you get another digit. So in this fashion, you can use this particular code. And with this, I want to close the numeric data type, right? Numeric data type chapter, because I have covered these three things. These are the three basic numeric data types, and I have explained in details how do you work with this type of data, numeric data types, right? Now the next thing that I will do, I'll go into the string. String is the text type of data. Text type of data is called strings. So let me call it Python strings. This is already marked down. So how do you handle strings? And we will also learn the operations that we can do, different formatting techniques that we can do on Python strings. So what are Python strings? Strings are denoted either using a single quotation mark or a double quotation mark So for example, what you can do, suppose I write print, then double inverted comma, and I write hello. So this is one Python string. This will print hello. But if you write in a single quotation, see what happens, then also it prints hello. So there is no difference basically in double quotation and single quotation. There is no difference whether you put double quotation or single quotation, the same text will be printed. So the text type of data is called string basically. Whenever you are writing or you are handling anything with text data type, then you call that data type as a string in Python, right? Now one special feature that are there for string is that strings are arrays, right? In Python, what happens? Strings are considered as arrays. Like in many other popular programming languages, strings in Python also are represented using arrays of bytes, basically. So what you can do, Python. Let me write a comment that does not have Python does not have a character data type. Python does not have any character data type. A single character is simply a string with a length of 1, right? So in Python, what happens is that Python does not have any character data type. For text type of data type, string is the data type. And a single character, suppose I write this hello. So hello, in hello, every character is a string. Every character, H is a string, E is a string, L is a string, L is again a string, O is again a string. So every character is simply a string with a length of 1. And also, what do you do? Squared brackets can be used in order to access the elements of a string. So now let us see how do you access the different elements of a string. Suppose I define a variable. Suppose Z is a variable, and here I write a string. My name is Anushka, right? So this is a string sort of a variable. So this is a statement, basically a text. Text is a string, right? Now in this string, what you want to do? Firstly, find out what will be the length of the string. Length can be found out using simply len statement. Length of Z. So how many characters are there? So in this particular statement, you have 19 characters, right? Len is used for finding out the length of the string. So this is altogether there are 19 characters. So there are 19 characters of length 1. Now how do you access these 19 characters? Suppose you want to access each of the characters. Now what do you have to do for that? For that you have to use the square brackets basically. So what do you write? You write print and then write the variable name, which is Z, and then simply put a square bracket. And in within this square bracket, write the indexing of this string. What is indexing? Start from this M. M is indexed as 0. M is indexed as 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this continues, right? So the first character is indexed at 0. So if you have to access the first character, that is M, right? M is the first character. If you want to access that, simply write 0 here, because 0 is the index of this character, right? In string, what we use is index. In order to access the characters, you have to use the method of indexing. So the first M is indexed at 0. So if you have to access this M, So you have to write print Z, the variable name, and then the index, that is 0. So let us run this. So see, you get the n. Now in this fashion, you can do multiple things. So Z and then write the indexing. Suppose I want to access the fifth character. So write 5 here. So this is M. So see, this is 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is M, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in this fashion, you can print Z. Then suppose I write 18th character. Let me give the 18th character. So this will be this exclamatory mark, right? This is the 18th character. So in this way, you can individually access all the characters of a particular string. Now, what can you do next? This method. Okay, let me write the method. Let me generate a cell. Accessing the characters of a string. This is how you access different characters of a string. Now what you can do, the next thing that we can do is we can use a looping statement. Looping to a string. What is that? Looping through a string. Let me write a comment. Strings are arrays, as I have mentioned. Strings are arrays. We can loop through the characters using something called the for loop. So what is that? Let me write the code. Then you will understand. For Z, suppose I take another system. Let me define A. A is a variable. A in, suppose my name Anushka. And then write a colon. Print A. So the string here is my name Anushka. So for A in Anushka, you can print, and this will give you this particular thing. This is the loop. Since every character is a string basically. Every string is a character basically. So what you can do, you can use this looping statement for loop to get this type of a thing. So every time, so firstly this loop will run and this will return A, and then again this loop will run, you will get in. And in this particular way, it will stop until this last A is obtained. So in this way, you can use the for loop in the string. And then let's see what we can do. The next thing would be checking checking string. Checking string. Suppose to check if a certain character is present in a string or not. We can use the keyword. We can use the keyword in. In is the keyword that we can use for that. So let's see what will be the code. Suppose I define a variable as text. Text, right? Let me write the text. The best things in life are free. So suppose this is my string. This is the variable. Variable is text, and this is the string variable. Now, what do you want to know? Print, and then double inverted C D in text. So what I have written is that, suppose this is the statement that you have, this is the string that you have, and you want to know a specific word or a specific character is there in the statement or not. So for that, you have to use this in keyword. So if I run this statement, see what happens. Um, okay, I haven't closed this inverted here. Yeah, now it's fine. So this is basically a statement. Now you want to know if a specific word or a specific character is present in the statement or not. For that, you will use this in statement. So here I want to check if free is there or not. This free word is there, but see here I have written a capital A. If I convert it to small, it will be true. It will give you the true result. So this free word is there in the statement. So this is right. Now let me change it. Suppose I call it expensive. Expensive. If expensive there in the text, then it will return false. So in this way, you can check if certain characters or certain words are present in your string or not. Also, you can do this using the if statement. Suppose you take the same string. Suppose this is the same string that we are using. Now you can use the if statement. If free in text, then you will print that yes, free is present. So let's see. So this has printed you, yes, P is present because P is in the text. P is there in the text. So it will be there. Now what you can do? So expensive. No, P is not present. This is also you can do. So it hasn't print anything because expensive is not there. So is what you can do is not in text, not in text. Not in is another keyword. So now it will print no, free is not present. I hope this thing is absolutely clear to you. Now, the next important topic that we will cover is the slicing. Slicing of string in Python. Python slicing, slicing of strings. What is slicing? Slicing basically means extracting certain characters or a range of characters from your string. So let me write a comment. A range of characters can be extracted or returned using the slice syntax. For that, what you have to do? Specify the starting index, start index, end index, separated by colon. So this is the process. Let us see an example. So slicing is basically extraction. Basically, slicing is extraction of a single or a range of characters from your string. So here, what we have done here in this method, when we have accessed the characters, we have accessed only a single character. We have accessed only some single character using this index method, right? Now what we want to do, we want to return a range of characters. A range of characters can be used, can be extracted using this slicing technique. For example, what you have to do, suppose I write a thing, I love Python. Suppose this is the string that we have. I love Python, right? Now what you want? You want to suppose suppose you want to get the characters from position 2 to position 5, where 5 is not included. Where 5 is not included. So what we will do? What we will do? We will use the slicing technique. For that, simply write print and then name of the variable, which is c, in this parenthesis, and then write 2, then give a colon and then give 5. Simple. Close the bracket and then run. So see, you get the 2 to 5, where 5 is not included. This is the I is 0th index, and then L is 1, then you have 2. So in the 2th position, you have this L, and then O, and then you have 3. So this 5 will not be included, but the rest of the things will be included. And this is how you extract some of the parts of the range of characters using the slicing method. This is the syntax of slicing. Now, you can use slicing in multiple ways. One way of slicing would be to slice from the very start. Slice from the start. So for that, what do you use? Suppose I use the same variable c, but now I want to print c bracket, skip the first character and then write, suppose I call 6. Okay, close the bracket. Now if you run this, what will happen? It will come only I love. So this is the entire string I love Python. So they will take from the start. If you skip this first portion, the portion before the colon, if you skip this portion, it will take right from the very start. That is from index 0. If you don't mention anything, it will start from the index 0. So 0 to 6. Basically, this will extract characters from index 0 to index 5 basically. So here you have 6 means 6 is not included. 5 up till 5 is included, right? Now in the similar way, you can slice from the end also. Let us do that. Slice from the end. By leaving out the end index. Now you have to leave out the end index. So print. So firstly, see, print the length. Let us see length of the C. So here you have 13 characters. So 13 characters. So print C. And then suppose I start from the 10th character, 10th to this. Close it. Now what will you see? You will see from 10th character to the end, basically. 10th character here is each. 1, so it starts with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, basically 10. And then you have O, and then you have H. So altogether, these 3 characters will be printed. So in this way, you can slice from the end. Also, what you can do, you can use the negative indexing. What is negative indexing? Let me write negative indexing. Negative indexing means to start the slice from the end of the string. It means used to slice from the end of the string. So how do you use that? I use the same variable c, and now I want to print c is the variable name, and then use the index minus c7 colon 2 minus 2. Suppose this is the case, close it and then run. So what will happen? So negative indexing will start from this place, from ending to starting. By this time, you must know what is indexing. So indexing means you start from this. When you use negative indexing, it means you are starting from this particular value, n towards this. This will be the direction from last to the first. So when you are starting with n will be indexed at -1, and then you have -2, then you have -3, -4, and in this way it will continue. So here we have started from -7 to -2. So this is -1, -2 is basically O, -2, and then -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. So it will start from this portion and it will go all the way to H. So this is how you slice from using the negative indexing from the very end of the string. I hope this is clear. Now, let us do some modification of strings. Let us do some modifications of the string. Modification. Modification of strings. So how do you modify this string? You can use the uppercase and the lowercase basically. Python has set of built-in methods that can be used on strings. That can be used on strings. The first one would be uppercase. So how do you use uppercase? For that, you have to use the upper method, upper. So suppose A is a variable, I call it Python. A is Python. So what you have to do, simply write print A and then give a dot, A dot, then use the upper method and then close. To do that, simply it will convert this string to uppercase. Similarly, you can convert it into lowercase, very simple, lowercase. So print A dot lower. This is how you convert it into. Okay, so for that I have to use a separate one. Oh, let me take another variable G, which is Anushka. So this is in uppercase. Now, if you want to convert it into lowercase, this is what will happen. It will be converted into lowercase. Now, another thing that you can do, that is removing the white spaces or the gaps, basically. Removing the white spaces. So what is this? Let's see. C is a variable. Suppose I start the inverted comma and I give this much gap, right? If I give this much gap and then start writing my code that I am Anushka. If this is the case, if you print, what will happen? If you print C, then see this gap will be there in the output. But ideally, this you have to, when you are writing some report or something, so this output should be clean. This output should start from the alignment, right? This left alignment. So how do you remove this gap? For that, you have to use strip method. Strip. So what you can do, simply write print and then open, then write the variable name C, then strip. Simply strip. So if you do that, now see, it will be left aligned. This will be a perfect string now. This is how you can remove the white space, or you can do this for the white space in the ending as well. So suppose if I do this, that will also work. That will also work in this strip statement, right? Now another thing, let us learn replace, how to replace a string. How to replace a string. For that, simply use the replace method. So instead of I am Anushka, let me, okay. So what you can do, instead of Anushka, I want to write another name, or instead of a certain character, I want to write something. So let us write print C dot replace, open, Anushka. This can be replaced using, suppose I call it Riya. Now if you, okay, so have I done something? Okay, there should be another bracket. Yeah. Now it will be printed as IMDR. So simply use the replace method in order to replace a string. So for that matter, what you can do, instead of suppose A, write R. This can also be done only for characters. So instead of Anushka, it will now print R Nushka, right? So only this A will be converted into R. This can also be done. Next is split. Next will be splitting. Split of string. So for that, we will use the split method. So suppose I use the same variable C. I am Anushka. This is the variable. Now what do you, okay, let me write what is split first. Split method. The split method returns a list. So I haven't covered list yet, but let us see what happens. It returns a list where the between text between the specified separator becomes the list items. Becomes the list items. So let's see how we can use this. So simply write print and the variable name and then the split. Then what do you do? Inverted comma, then write a comma and then again inverted and then close it. So if you do that, see what will be the thing? It will give you a list. This is a list basically. List means in the third bracket, in this square bracket or third bracket, whatever you call it, you have some items separated by comma. So this is how a list of item will be written if you use the split. This is how you split a string. Let me use another example. Suppose I call a variable A. Suppose it is hello world. Suppose this is the case. and you use the split here, a dot split, and then you use this, comma, this. Then see what happens. See, these are the two things. These are the two words that are separated by comma and in separate quotations. Basically, this is a list. Basically, when I will cover the list data type, I'll cover this thing. So this is a list type. So split statement or split method returns a list where there is text between the specified separator and becomes the list item. So these are the two list items, and here you have three list items. I hope this is clear. And the final thing that we will do will be concatenation. This will be something called concatenation, or let me call it string concatenation. Catenation. So what is concatenation? Concatenation means simply combining two or more text into a single string, right? So to catenate or combine. Concatenation means combining basically multiple things into a single thing. Or combine two strings, you can use the plus operator. For that, you use the plus operator. Let us see an example. M is one variable. Let me call it Python. N is another variable. P is another variable. Suppose this is the three variables that we define, and then write another variable where it is simply M plus N plus P. And then if you print Z, what will happen? Do that. So see, the three different variables, these three different strings are now combined into a single string. Right? This is how we do concatenation. Concatenation means combining two or more strings into a single string. But see here, you don't have any spaces. If you want space, for that what you can do, simply write Z is M, then write plus, and then quotation, then write plus M, and then write plus, and then again quotation, then write. Now if you run this Z, see what happens. Uh, yeah, so I have placed this plus here. So what you have to do, simply write this double quotation here and double quotation here, and then if you run, so this will give you now the spaces in between that you want, right? I hope this is absolutely clear to you. And let us do the final thing and then I'll stop. What is that? That will be usage of F string, or let us say Python string formatting. Python string formatting. So suppose you define a variable, suppose I call age, this is 30. Now you want to use this variable somehow inside your string, right? You have previously defined a variable. You want to use this variable somehow in your string. Now, for that, what you have to do, you have to use something called the if string to use the already defined variable inside the string. We can use if string. Let's see. Simply write, suppose I call it text. And then how do you do it? Before starting the string, you have to write this if here, if, and then write the string as it is. My name is Anushka, comma, I am, and then write the variable name that you want to insert inside this curly braces. Suppose I write age. Age is the variable that we have already defined, and then end this. Now, if you write print the text, now see what happens. This. My name is Anushka, I am 30. Now, the beauty of this formatting is that you can change the variable here. Suppose I write my age is 23, and then if you run the statement, it will automatically be converted. So every time you don't need to write all the things that you want to mention in your string. So you can simply define a variable somewhere in your code, and then using this if string, this is called if string. If string means you simply write, this is the syntax. Before writing the statement, before writing the string, write this if here, and in the curly braces afterwards, in the which is also known as the placeholders. This curly braces is the placeholders. In this placeholders, you can write the variable name, or you can also perform some operations. So let us see how to use this placeholders. This curly braces is called placeholders. Now let us see placeholders and modifiers. Let us see what does this mean. A placeholder, a placeholder can contain a placeholder can contain variables. They can also contain operators, or let us say operations, functions, and also modifiers to format a value in a string. So this is a way of string formatting basically. Placeholders and modifiers helps you to format a string. How do you do that? This can be used using this curly braces basically. For example, suppose we want to add a placeholder to add price of a variable. So for that, what do you do? Suppose I define the price previously, suppose it is of 100 rupees, and then you write the text. Suppose I call it text 1. Text 1, write the F and write the price is rupees, and then write the placeholder. Placeholder, here you have to mention the variable. And then simply close the inverted comma, print text 1. So if you do that, see what will happen. The price is rupees 100. So you wanted to add this placeholder to add price of a variable. So you can change the price from here. Suppose I write 50 here, so it will automatically be changed to 50. So this is the beauty of using placeholders. Also, you can perform the arithmetic operation. Suppose placeholder placeholder can include a modifier to format a value. What is a modifier? A modifier is included by adding a colon. This is a colon basically. By adding a colon followed by the formatting type, like dot to f, which means fixed point number, with two decimals. Now let us see this with an example of a code. Suppose we want to display the price of a product with two decimal two decimals, right? If you want to do this price here, see here I have used a whole number only, but if you want to write it including decimals, then what do? Copy this text, copy this. Suppose this is 50, and then what do? Price, and then use a colon. Price, colon, then point to if. Now if you run, see what will happen. Now this will come to 50.00. Right? This is how you use a modifier. Modifier means placeholders are used for only placing the values or placing the variable, basically. But modifier can modify the value that this variable can take in the placeholder. I hope this is clear. So here we have used this to convert into two decimal places. So basically price will be as it is, and then colon dot 2f means the original value will be there, but two decimal points will be added after this. So see here I have written that a modifier is included by adding a colon followed by the formatting type like 2f, which means a fixed point number with two decimals. So here fixed point is 50, and then you are adding two decimal values to it. And final thing, placeholder can also use for doing the mathematical operations. That is the final thing. A placeholder can contain Python code like math operations. For example, to perform the math operation, what you can do, suppose I write a text 2. So start with F. The price is, now open the curly braces, and inside this curly braces write the formula. Suppose I write 20 into 50 into some value, suppose 7. If I write this will be automatically performed. This, and before that you can add a rupees before, and then you can close this. If you do that and then print text 2. So now what will happen? It will automatically do the calculation for you. You don't have to write the value here. It can perform the mathematical operation like plus, minus, subtraction, division, or everything, multiplication, every mathematical operation can be done within this placeholder using this statement, right? I hope these things are clear to you. If you have any questions, any doubts, you can let me know. Let me give you a quick recap of whatever things we have covered in Python strings. So let's see. These are the Python strings. So firstly, we have clarified that double quotation and single quotation are the same. There is no difference in these two things. So whether you write single quotation or double quotation, it means the same. Then we have seen how to find out the length of a string using this length method. We have seen how to access a single character using their indexes using this method, this square brackets. Then we have seen how to use the for loop. For loop can be used for printing this type of a thing. Now we can individually check if a certain word or a certain character is there in the string or not. So when there are multiple lines of string there, suppose in a Python code you have multiple lines of strings and you want to know a specific character or a specific word is there or not, you can use this thing. In keyword can be used for that, or you can use this if statement. If statement and the in keyword can be used to find this out. Also, we have learned about Python slicing, how to use Python slicing using the index and how to use these indexes. I have given you these examples, slicing from the starting, slicing from the ending. Also, I have used negative indexing. Then I have used several modifying methods of strings. For example, we can use uppercase, lowercase, removing white spaces, replacing the string, splitting the string, everything. Also, I have performed concatenation. And then finally, I have gone into the formatting of Python string, how you can use placeholders and modifiers, and also with the help of if string. This if string, how you can modify your statements and use it accordingly. I hope this session is helpful to you. If you find this helpful, then do like this video. If you have any questions, any doubts anywhere, you can ask me in the comment section. Please do the homework and do subscribe to this channel in Economist, and I'll cover everything that you need to know on Python and also other things in economics. If you haven't seen my other playlist, please check that out. And if you find this helpful, then do subscribe to this channel because it give me immense motivation to continue making videos for you. So thank you for your time and let's meet you in class 3.